raises, no one likes underfunded public services. It's that pesky old like having things, dislike paying for things dilemma again. But luckily, there is a third way. A solution discovered anew by opposition parties in every election. They're not going to cut public funding. Good Lord, no. They're not going to raise taxes. Perish the thought. They're quite simply going to eliminate waste. Of course, if only we'd thought of that. All that waste we waste, we could just stop wasting it, and then it wouldn't be wasted. After all, anyone who's ever worked in a large organisation knows there definitely is waste. We've all seen it. If all that waste just pisses off, quailing under the basilisk stare of the new guys, surely there'll be more money for everyone. Hooray! Well, no, unhooray. You can't just eliminate waste. How would you go about it? If you took over a pub, would you announce that from now on there will be no money lost on spillages or breakages because everyone's going to be really careful? Waste is an inherent part of big organisations, and for that matter small organisations, and for that matter everyday life. And when a new government is formed, it doesn't mean the new lot take over the running of everything, middle manage every hospital, drive every bus. It means there are 20 new guys at the top making, if they're lucky, broad policy changes. Underneath them, everything is run by exactly the same people as before, presumably at broadly the same level of wastefulness or parsimony as before. So the implication is that when one party says it's against waste, their rivals are somehow in favour of it, that they've been enthusiastically investing in better and newer types of waste instead of incubators for hospitals. Who are these bastards, we're invited to ask, saying keep waste, stick the newborns in shoeboxes? They don't exist, obviously. The question of waste is not one of attitude, it's one of competence. And when it comes to the main parties, I suspect most people in both, or neither, would agree that the top 20 Labour brains and the top 20 Tory brains are roughly equivalent. I certainly admit that if the BNP were to suddenly sweep to power, we could all expect a lot more waste, simply as a consequence of putting morons in charge of money. And whilst the Greens are not morons and infinitely nicer people generally, I'm afraid I suspect they'd piss rather more money up the wall than any of the parties whose recruitment of the able has been boosted by their proximity to real power. But in general, the role of politicians is to come up with new ideas, a new approach. Not the same old, impossible idea, but with a fierce, visionary look in their eye to suggest that this time, they mean it. Well, that's the last of these, whatever the proper word for these things is, for now at least. Hopefully there will be a second bunch in the future when I've worked up the requisite ire. But for now, let me just leave you with a recap of what I think you'll agree is the broad gist of my message, the central plank of the manifesto I have been subtly assembling over the past 24 weeks. If you take nothing else away from this series, at least take this. People should be more polite, not insist on consensus, and be better at spelling, whatever Rob says. Men don't get man flu, should stick to black tie, should go to the doctor more but groom themselves less. Women shouldn't expect flowers or compliments from me. Mice shouldn't expect to be driven to the country by me. Hawliers are fooling us all, the Cornish are only fooling themselves, waste-cutting politicians are fooling no one. The Welsh are great, the elderly are not as great as they were, but don't deserve the cards they get. Pillage doesn't make rape any better, the British still can't cook, you can't be passionate about a sofa, Louis Riard invented the bikini, bitter doesn't taste of cream, I don't want to tell you how much I earn, and you're welcome to sleep with my corpse. Thank you to Bulldog, thank you to Fourth Estate, thank you for watching. Goodbye.